What is going on, guys? Matt here. Today we are looking at the Benchmade Griptilian 555-1. Now I know what you're thinking, Matt. You hate the Griptilian. You said so many a time in your last Griptilian review, and you are correct. I do not like the original Griptilian. I think it's a well-made knife, tough knife, strong knife, well designed. I do not like the way the original Griptilian feels because of the FRN handles. This is a game changer when it comes to the Griptilian, guys. This with the G10 handle scales and the 20 CV steel, it's just a completely different knife. And so we're going to be talking about this knife. We're going to be talking about the 555-1 by Benchmade. Unfortunately, this model has been discontinued, but we'll talk about why you don't have to be too sad about that a little bit later in the video. First, let's do some size comparisons. So let's compare it to one of my new favorite folding knives. Talked about it a lot recently, Case Kinzua. Very similar in size, about a 3.5-inch blade, about a 4.5-inch handle. Very similar in size. We got aluminum handle scales on that one. Let's look at it in comparison to another one of my recent favorite folding knives that I will be doing on a review on soon, the Boker Quaken. Man, that Cocobolo just looks so good. So, similar blade length, but longer handle right here. A little bit longer of a handle. Decent amount longer. Actually, look at that Cocobolo. Just can't get over how great that looks. All right, let's compare it to a knife I recently got from a friend of mine. Shout out to Matt, my buddy, who gave me this knife for my birthday. He's got a really interesting compound grip on this little Mora. I can't remember the name of this one. Just a little cute, stubby little knife. I've been carrying it around on this lanyard right here, kind of from my neck around the house when I'm wearing gym shorts. I've been cutting some food with this. It's just nice and thin and slicey. This thing's awesome. Came with a fire steel, so a lot smaller of a blade on that one. Let's compare it to one more knife. Let's go with a classic. They're at one. Similar blade length, longer handle. So even comparison to kind of your standard size EDC knives, kind of full size rather you could say, the Benchmade Griptilian, even the full size, has a shorter overall length. So let's talk about the specs real quick, guys. So we're talking about a 3.45-inch blade, 8.07 overall. 0.12 inches thick on that blade stock right there, so standard thickness. 20 CV steel, yeah, that's right, 20 CV. Some premium steel on this 555-1, 551-1. I'm gonna mispronounce that so many times throughout the video. Just forgive me on that one if you don't mind. These are G10 handle scales, not FRN. Why I enjoy this blade a lot more than the other one. And we got partial steel liners in there. Let's see, can you see those? Yeah, partial steel liners in there. Now, when these were kind of in stock, regularly a part of Benchmade's lineup, they went for about $180, $190. And the smaller ones, $10, $15 less. They were on sale right before they went out of stock for like $150, which is when I picked this thing up. Now, you can go to Benchmade's website and go to their customizer and get an FRN version or get a G10 version. And I believe the G10 versions also come in 20 CV, and you're looking at about $220 for that. So let's just say about $200 is what you'd be looking at to get a knife similar to this. So let's talk about what I like, what I dislike, and something unique about the Benchmade 551-1 Griptilian. So first of all, this is a Griptilian. And I know I talked about it in my original view, how I didn't like it, but I know I mentioned that this knife is well designed. It's well created. The blade, the handle, it's grippy, it's comfortable. It's just overall, it's a well designed. And so being a Benchmade Griptilian, similar to being a Benchmade 940 or being like a Chris Reeve Sabenza, is kind of a positive, something to be, some notoriety kind of to itself, right, guys? So, just the fact that it is a Griptilian and its design and its overall, performance and aesthetic, that is a positive thing because I love this design. You guys know the thing that pulled me away from the design was the handles. So let's move on to these handle scales. These handle scales are awesome. Pretty thick G10 right there. very nicely contoured, very smooth, no hot spots on this knife. It's not quite as grippy as the original Griptilian, but has plenty of traction for you. This is gonna grip just as much as you could want it to, no pun intended. And you have that jimping right there and right there. Not too aggressive, but just aggressive enough. These handle skills feel incredible too. Not only do they feel incredible, but they also have this nice blue aesthetic, right? These kind of they look like another set of liners, but they're just a part of the G10. And then you have these studs, these anodized blue studs as well. It just makes it look nice. It makes it look elegant, makes it feel elegant, and it makes it feel like a completely different knife, even though it is really the same design, aside from, that's not a flow-through construction anymore, or that's not an enclosed construction anymore, which I really like as well, that it is flow-through. So fantastic job just being a Griptilian, and fantastic job updating these scales for this newer version. I absolutely love these scales. Along with that, this knife no longer feels like a cheap plasticky knife. I know what you're saying, Matt, it was never a cheap plasticky knife. I know that. I know it is a strong knife. The original Griptilian, much like the Bug Out, very, a lot of thought, I know. A lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of design elements went into creating both of those blades, and I appreciate that. I just can't get behind them because they do not feel nice in hand. This does feel nice in hand. It feels like an elegant knife. It feels like a sturdy knife, but it's not terribly heavy. There are knives that they feel too heavy. One of my, a great knife overall, right? The Rat 1. It's a good knife. It's not nearly as expensive, obviously, as this, but it's very heavy, right? Because you just don't have the time and energy and the quality control put into a knife like this that you do in this. So you have a super sturdy knife that feels really great in hand, but isn't too heavy. And that is just another thing that they have done right on this design versus the original Griptilian. Another thing I really like is the blade shape options that you have. This is obviously the drop point option. You have a sheep's foot option with that spider hole opening. I tend to gravitate more towards this more. And they used to have a Tonto version. I'm not sure if they still do anymore. But whatever you like, I think all the blade styles are very good as well. So another thing I really, really like is the steel. 20 CV is about as premium as it gets when it comes to steel. I haven't used 20 CV extensively, I'll be honest with you guys. Knife steels that I have used extensively are stuff like AUS 8, S35, and VG10. I have used all those steels very extensively, and even 420. 420 I've used a lot as well. So I know of 20 CV, I know of its components, and it's about as premium as you can get when it comes to a folding knife steel. Would I want it in a fixed blade? No, it's not nearly tough enough, too hard. This is in 20 CV as well. So these are the two blades I currently own in 20 CV. So 20 CV is just going to hold an edge forever. It's going to hold an edge so long, it's going to be super rust resistant. And according to what I've heard, it's not like the craziest, most difficult thing to sharpen. From what I've heard anyway, I haven't had experience with it when it comes to that. But 20 CV, completely good to go. Fantastic choice for this, even at this kind of price range, which is pretty high price range, about being $200. And of course, these are made in the USA. So if you're you live in the USA, like things being made where you live, this is that's what's cool about Benchmades, right? So a couple more things I want to talk about. I think that the pocket clip that comes with this is great. Now, a lot of Benchmades are coming with this deep carry clip. They don't use that phallic looking clip as much anymore, I don't think. There's a couple other clip designs that they still have, but I think they've realized that this is the clip people want. And this is a great clip. As you can see, it rides nice and low, not crazy low, but still nice and low. Those screws are pretty low profile, so they don't get in the way to the case. Man, I need to get rid of those and get some other ones on there, don't I, guys? Doesn't ride super high like the Boker Quaken. Still love this knife, but look how high that thing rides. That's way too high. So yeah, I think this is a great design clip. And another thing, I think originally these were painted, these deep carry ones. It looks blued almost, and you can kind of tell that. So there are some scratches on it, but they're not super noticeable because it's not painted and you're not seeing like a super chromed out, finish under that painting. So I think this clip is awesome. All right. So we got quality, we got feel. Overall, it's a grip. We love the pocket clip. We love the just about everything about it. The blade, the handle. What else do I like about this knife? Well, I think that it's really, really cool that with a lot of Benchmades now, and the Griptilian is one of them, you have the option of going into their website and doing full customizations. I think that's really cool. If you guys haven't checked that out before, maybe you're not even in the market for a new knife, just go there and kind of have fun with it. You can customize your steel, your handle material. You can get a G10 version, an FRN version, bunch of different blade steel, a bunch of different blade styles and handle colors. And so I think that's just really cool that you have that option to get a Griptilian that really fits what you like, fits your aesthetic. Something, say you love purple a ton. Get a purple Griptilian. Why don't you? That's just really cool. And I really enjoy that about the knife. And before we move on to what I don't like, I want to say that that's why you shouldn't count this as kind of a negative that they've discontinued this model, because you can still go into Benchmade's customizer and buy yourself a G10 handled, Griptilian that is a flow-through design, and I believe they are still 20 CV. So yes, this specific model with gray and those blue accents is discontinued, but you still have the option of having a, in my opinion, much superior Griptilian. And I don't know if they're going to come out with maybe some standard G10 versions that aren't, kind of, I guess this is a special edition, some standard G10 versions, maybe with just black G10 handle scales and 20 CV. So that might happen in the future, which I would love as well. So don't be too sad about it, guys. You can still get a G10 handled version of the Griptilian. All right. What do I not like? Well, there's just really one thing, and it's the same gripe I had with the original Griptilian, and I don't think I'll ever get over it. Boom. It's too thick. Too fat in pocket, right, guys? It's not terrible. There are other knives that are just about as fat in pocket. That's about as fat in pocket, right? Oh, what else? That's about as fat in pocket. But to me, it's still fat in pocket. And something like this is just a little thinner. Not by much, though, if we look at it. But by a little bit. So I just think this is a little bulbous in the pocket. But, it's not terrible. There are certainly worse knives that you could carry in your pocket. So but I would prefer it if it was maybe a little bit of a slimmer design. And I know part of that too is if you look right here, most handle scales, if we're looking at knives, let's see, like this, these are contoured a little bit, but you see how much these flare out. The Griptilian's handle scales really flare out, and that makes for a really comfortable, handle, but it also makes for a little bit of a thicker, knife in pocket. So, yeah, a little bulbous, a little thick in pocket for my taste. That is all. That is everything I don't like about the Griptilian. Guys, this knife has changed my mind on this, on the Griptilian line. This showed me that the Griptilian knives could be something that feels premium, that performs well, and is still tough as nails, and still just not super heavy, still really light, still super grippy, right? And so that kind of brings us to what's unique about it. Do you guys remember, I'm sure many of you took philosophy classes maybe in high school or maybe in college, Plato's allegory of the cave, right? So the idea was that most people were sitting right here and they were looking towards this cave wall and they were seeing these shadows that were being projected by these people behind them. And they were chained here their whole lives, and all they could do was see the shadows, and that's all they experienced life as, right? They didn't know that there were puppet masters who were showing them the shadows, and that's actually what the puppets were. And they didn't even know there was a life outside of the cave. Maybe this is a little bit too crazy. But this, to me, is like the puppets that are being controlled. It's not the shadow. Like the GRN version is like the shadow in Plato's allegory of the cave. This is the actual puppet, or the actual real thing that the Griptilian could have been. And so I just think this is such a superior model. And it's like they've finally done it right. Like they came out with the Griptilian Light first, and now they finally come out with the Griptilian full version. And I just think that's so awesome. This is what the Griptilian should be. It's honestly, guys, turned into one of my favorite new folding knives. And that's a pretty high bar to set, because I've got a lot of new folding knives I really enjoy. And so I just think that this is awesome. It's an absolute recommend. This version and the G10 version overall, if you can get your hands on a G10 version. If you haven't liked the Griptilian and the way it feels, grab you a G10 version. They are still worth it. I think at 220 bucks, I would still go for it because they're such fantastic blades. Guys, that is all I have for you on this video. Remember, we are doing a giveaway on the Cold Steel Kobun. I don't have it on table, but remember to go back to that Cold Steel Kobun video, the one that says I'm giving away a Cold Steel Kobun, right? I'll link it below in the description. But make sure and go to that video and follow the instructions so that you can be entered to win. But this Gerber, I'm sorry, I did that to you, Benchmade. I apologize. This Benchmade Griptilian 551-1. Absolute recommend. I cannot recommend it enough. Go and pick one up. Go and pick you a G10 version up right now. It's just totally worth it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to go to that Kobun video so you can be entered to win that. We will see you in the next video. Peace.